I was born in China, actually Guangdong, near the coast. I was adopted at 19 months old and I was brought here. So I've grown up here actually my whole life. When I was younger, I did want a younger sister or brother. And so I think God or, just my parents said, hey, we're gonna get another sibling. So we got my brother in Guangzhou. So we're not biologically related, but that doesn't really matter in our family.
I grew up in Washington State. I grew up in the big Christian churches, like the big churches, no small ones. Growing up, we just read the Bible to, be closer to God, that kind of deal. I didn't really understand the full length of what God was and why everyone was making a big deal about him.
I don't know, I was always raised in a Christian household, Catholic Christian household. I was raised in a house that believed in God, so I can't really imagine a life without God. Although in the past 3 years, I walked away from God because I wanted to know if God was the reason for everything. My parents and everyone else says that their whole life is built on God and that He's the reason to be living. And so I wanted to see if that was true. So I kind of put God on a back burner, not that I completely left Him, but in the sense of leaving Him, I did. During that time, I found depression and a lot of hard things came at me. The loss of close relationships because of that, just a lot of toxic people who I thought were. So just a lot of that kind of stuff. So then that I drew myself into depression.
In 2020, I went through a rough time with my boyfriend. He didn't answer his phone for a day, and that's when I started getting very suspicious and worried. So I contacted his friends, contacted his family who live in a different state at the time, and they didn't hear from him, so I ended up doing a welfare check, and I was there when they found him. He committed suicide. I completely shut God out for, it was a good 2 years, until it was about 2 months ago. I was in my room and I had a complete mental breakdown, and I just remember sliding down my wall and just in tears. And then I just felt His presence right there and understood that He was with me, and I felt that He was here with me the whole entire time.
And then when I was back, it was not even just going back to what it was, but it was a whole new something that you can't really describe with words except for awesome and amazing, because it's a relationship with God and it can't get any fuller than that.
I was realizing that, He was there with me the whole time, and that even though I turned away from Him, He never left, was always there when I needed it, or I didn't even realize it. But then I came here to this church, and I felt at peace. I was welcomed with all the messages that the pastor's been saying, and just everything just hit home. And I realized that I felt God every time I came here.
I would say that Jesus is the shepherd, the gatekeeper, my redeemer, my savior. He's the one who keeps giving me second chances, even though I'm well beyond my second.
And now that through this whole experience, and then the last few months with Him, knowing that He's been there for me, this is a way for me to give my heart fully to Christ.